Hack Shack Studios, we are live. Hey all, hey one, hey all. We got Oni64. I saw you there before I clicked the live button. How you doing, brother? You're the first one in. So let's get this party crazy. Let's do this. I got some drawing to do, some inking to do. I'm going to finish up my black and white second chance art that I live streamed yesterday, I think for 3 hours, man. It was epic. It was epic, and we had the great James Dean Anderson and Joe Albino Thunderbuns hanging out with me. So it's just going to be me. It's just going to be me, little old me, drawing and talking to you guys. I got some cool stuff to show. If you guys tuned in yesterday, I showed them off a little bit, but it was a 3-hour stream, so I'm going to show them off again. Excuse me, just because I'm very, very proud of them. I think they came out really cool. So I got some Chrono trading cards I'm going to show you. They come with the tiers, with certain tiers. Each one of the book tiers comes with an accompanying trading card. And I got 4 of them done, and I'm going to show those suckers off. And hey, Sierra Whiskey, what's up, man? I miss you, brother. We got to hang out again soon, face to face. Knock back a couple cold ones, get some Mexican food. You know, good times. Hey, we got Kevin. Kevin, what's up, man? How you doing, brother? Sierra Whiskey, what's happening, my friend? Yeah, just kind of, oh my gosh, I wanted to do this stream earlier, and man, the closer you get to ending your, or getting everything ready for print, the more fires stem up every moment. Like like this morning I was thinking everything was pretty much done as far as the credit pages, the back cover, and all that stuff with Sean Ellery. And then I got the PDF this morning and realized it wasn't on the right template. So I had to troubleshoot all that stuff, and none of that is fast. That's the thing. You know, it's just so disappointing because all I wanted to do is draw today, and then I had to do that, and then just kind of play catch up with all the rest of my, you know, normal to-do list. And so now I'm finally getting around to drawing, and it's 2 o'clock in the day already. So it's so bizarre, man. My days are so weird. I usually don't get to really draw until late at night. So I've been staying up really late just so I can just work, you know. But it's all good. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. It's just a matter of, you know, when the fires break out, you have to deal with them in the moment. So they take all your attention and all your focus at that time. And it just gets a little disappointing, especially when you want to do something you really want to do, like, you know, draw or ink. And also I talked to Dynamite a little bit the other day, and we're still going to move forward on the Green Hornet black and white crossover cover. So that's another reason I wanted to get this black and white image done, because I want to get into doing some layouts for that cover. I have 3 pretty solid ideas, I think, but I just want to get them on paper and see how they look. So we have Gaming or What. How you doing, brother? Oni, shout out to Tortas and Tamales. Yeah. Hell yeah, man. I'll tell you, I grew up in Norwalk, California. It's LA County. And I always, you know, I think it's the Portuguese. I always look Hispanic. I always looked Hispanic, especially when I'm out in the sun. My skin darkens up. So everybody in the neighborhood thought I was Hispanic. And I wouldn't say it was a Hispanic neighborhood, but it was a Hispanic neighborhood. Like, I would say it was probably 90% Hispanic in the area that I lived. And so I got to hang out with all those families, man, and they all cook. There's always a grandmother in those families, and they know how to make tamales. They know how to make all that stuff. And so you would purposely, like, make sure you were there around dinner time so they could feed you. I played in, like, one of my first official bands, I guess. What was his name? Arthur. Trujillo, I think. I can't remember his name. But anyways, we would always be rehearsing around, 6 o'clock, 6, 7, and his mom would bring in, these great meals. And I was like, yes, this is working out. This is a win-win. So it's awesome. Yes, let's do some lunch soon. Of course. So David Dell, is that Cole? Colonel? I don't know. Hell Art from a warm, sunny Canada. Oh, very cool, man. So it's starting to warm up there. That's great. CG Oracle, howdy Art. Yes. So I'm going to catch up here, and then I'm going to start doing my work. I got quite a bit done last night. So it's, I don't know, maybe just a couple hours left on this page. Android, what is it? Androtaz01. At least you didn't have to talk to someone like Brevoort. I don't know. I never had a problem with Brevoort when I worked there, but after I was let go at Marvel, I heard all kinds of really not so good things about Tom Brevoort. So sweet. I love the Green Hornet. Hell, I do too, man. I got a little Green Hornet collection over there on my shelf. It's pretty darn cool. Victor Thomas. Hey, Art. How you doing, Victor? It was mariachi. You know what? There was like, they were like really Hispanic. Like, so there were like, there were those, mariachis? What are those things called? The little shaker things. And we had some percussion instruments there. And they were definitely, straight from Mexico, because nothing's simple and straightforward in Mexico. They paint the hell out of everything. Everything is really ornate and detail oriented. So I guess they're maracas. Yeah, maracas were all painted up. They look pretty cool. Mariachi metal. Hell yeah. You know what? Have you guys ever listened to Cake, that band Cake? I always kid that they sound like they have a mariachi band that's backing them up. And I always kid with my friends, like, I just imagine a bunch of, kind of older, portly Hispanic gentlemen, playing the trumpet and stuff. Pretty cool. Cole sounding. Yes. Vilnid. What? Green Hornet, black and white cover, must be a dream come true. Hells yeah, it is. That's the only reason I'm doing it. I had Nick Barucci say, we might not sell that many. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think there's some Green Hornet fans out there. And to me, it's just kind of a dream come true. It'll be awesome just to do it. Is that too much light now? I just kind of moved the light there. It's a little blown out. Let me move this over a little bit. Yeah, it's always a little bit of a battle. So yeah, this is the black and white second chance art. So we're going to do an oversized print with this one, and then the book tiers will come with a trading card with the same image. So you can see it's coming along. It looks a little unfinished just because there's a lot of blacks in here. But most of the line art, the outline stuff, structure, and hatching is done. So let me get into this. It's a little warm today. It's a nice day, but it's a little warm. So I'm predicting I'm going to have trouble with the ink, with my ink. Oh, we got Zach. Hey, Zach. I was going to come in. I was going to come in on your stream, but it looked like you had a full house, and I didn't want to, I didn't want anybody to get booted, or, I know you volunteered to boot yourself, but I didn't want that. So, yeah, so it was a great stream. I listened to the last part of it, so that's pretty cool. So that's Jason Brubaker. He's got a pretty cool stream. He's got some good guests, and Zach Bradley was on there. So Thanks for the invite, my friend. Hey, we got James Dean Anderson. Let me know if you want some company. All right, man, I will. Let's see how this goes. I'm hoping that I can put in about an hour and get this thing under control. And that's my goal. That is an incredible piece. Thank you so much, Kevin. I do appreciate it. So let me see. Yeah, because one of the things I want to start doing is working a little bit more on these streams. So I'm hoping they don't become too boring, because if they do, then, you know, I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do about that. I'll start talking more. That will always help. The main thing that most artists get into is when they're live streaming, they don't talk because it takes a lot of focus to do this. And so when you're focusing, sometimes you're not talking, just like I'm doing now. So it's kind of a interesting dynamic. It's like chewing gum and walking, that old adage. Although I never quite understood that, because it's really not that much of a big deal. I don't know, how inept would you have to be if it was really a problem? Wouldn't you really worry about somebody? Yeah, he's having a real hard time chewing gum and walking. I think there'd be some serious health issues going on there. Some kind of ink in this little cast shadow here. And also the key is to keep looking at the screen to make sure that everything that you're inking fits in the camera space. So yeah, if there's any aspiring artists out there, I'm using a Hunt 102 as my weapon of choice. And I'm using Pelikan ink. And there's a lot of different inkers recommend different inks. And there are a lot of good ink out on the market. I do think it just comes down to your personal preference. And I've used a lot of them over time. And I think I like Pelikan the most because it works the best right out of the bottle. Like, you don't really have to mix it. You don't have to, it's not fussy. You can just open a bottle and then just start using it. Some ink you have to, I got to get my ink rag. One of the things too for new inkers, you constantly got to clean off the nib. So always have a little rag handy, because they pick up like little paper fibers and dust. So they get a little dirty, and sometimes the ink will dry on the nib and it'll be too thick, so you got to wipe it off. So one of the things I'm doing with the ink is, you can't see off to the side, but I have water, like a little thing of water, and I'm dipping the nib in the water just to kind of keep the ink a little bit more fluid. It's just a little, I just kind of dab it. You can hear it, listen. So I just kind of dab it in there, and I get a little bit of water in, and then I dip the nib into the ink, and then it helps with the flow. Because like I said, it's a little hot today. And also the main culprit here is my ink is really, really thick. I should change it, but I think I'm a little lazy, and I don't want to waste the ink, because if I change it, I'd have to dump the bottle I have here and then fill it back up. So I think there's the Artie Bear of Young when I was poor. It still kind of exists, so I don't want to waste anything. So that's why I haven't done it. So yeah, the robot's coming along here. And I want to get it done today because I want to give Kyle as much time to ink as possible. That's Kyle Ritter. So yeah. So realistically speaking, I'll get the Second Chance campaign up as soon as Chrono goes out to the printer, which it's still looking good for getting it out this week. I got to touch base with Jeff later today and see how the last couple pages is doing as far as the lettering. And then I have to format the book, and then I kind of have some of the cover like logo and things like that on there, but I have to put the retrofit title on the cover as well. And Sean Ellery did a pretty amazing job with the retrofit. I'll show you that later. So it's going to look really cool on the cover. The retrofit title looks really awesome. Yeah, I'm working with some really talented people. It's tough to find good people that can get the work done, like keep their word when they say they're going to do something, and they do it. So that's tough. And then the other part that's really hard is to make sure that, or just to try to figure out how to communicate your point to people, because it's one thing having, oh, I got a creative vision, but the next is, how do you get other people to understand that vision? So it's not always that easy to translate over, and everybody's different. So some people, it clicks right away and they're like in sync with you. And then others, it's a little bit of heavy lifting. So it's a matter of trying to figure out how to communicate those things to them. And so that's kind of where it's at. And especially when you have to start troubleshooting things, that's when it gets tough. And my thing is I try to make it visual. So I try to do my notes and stuff in Photoshop, and so I can show people what I'm talking about, because it's so hard to try to write something visually. Like, how do you explain this to people? You know, it's a visual thing. So that's one of the most interesting aspects. And also for me, it's one of the more time consuming, is to just try to communicate with people, explain what it is that you are looking for. because everybody has a way of understanding in different ways. And that's the biggest challenge. I think that, like when you see a lot of creative people, like directors or different people that, or artists, like comic book people that work with the same team, I think the reason they do that, personally, this is my take on it, is it's not so much nepotism. It's like, oh, they know that person. I mean, they do. So I guess in a cynical way, you could say, yeah, it's nepotism. But I think it's mostly because they already have a shorthand with those people, and they don't have to explain themselves in as much detail. So when they say certain things, um, they understand, and then they can move on it. And when you're creating stuff, the hardest thing is trying to stay in that moment when you're creating, and then when you have to put out fires or you have to spend a lot of time to explain something, it actually slows the process down. At least for me it does. I mean, there's other people that might come more natural, but it sure doesn't for me. It's interesting though, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. It always for me, it just comes down to time. Like if I had all the time in the world, none of these things would be issues at all. I would just, it would be what it's going to be. If it's going to take an hour to do it, then it'll take an hour, and you have all the time in the world, so it's no problem. But when you're on limited time, then it gets a little tougher. So I'm drawing all this little debris here on this bot. Yeah, Reed's taking this guy out, man. These guys have guns for hands. They were designed for one thing and one thing only: hurting. So here's a little shadow on this leg plate because it's elevated. It's coming together. Let me finish up my internal organs. I just kind of hinted at these. I'm kind of bringing some blacks into, or darker areas into this part, so you can get a little depth in there. Cool. It's coming together. Yeah. It's a great way to make a living. I enjoy every day that I can draw for you guys. So the Black and White Second Chance campaign, I was hoping that we'd be able to do it, at the end of this month, but things being what they are, we should be able to get it out early next month. So I think Kyle and I were talking about getting the cover done like the 3rd of June. So what I'm hoping is that, Pamela and I will have everything else for the campaign done by then. And we should. I mean, there really shouldn't be any reason why we can't. And then as soon as we get the cover, we'll plug that in and go live. And so we also have a trading card, a collectible trading card, and it's for the pre-launch. So if you go, it's in the description, you go and sign up for the pre-launch page, then you can get that Zach Bradley trading card absolutely free with the backing of a book. I think it was Sketch Therapy was saying the other day on one of these streams to me, he was saying, he's like, you give too much stuff away, it makes you look desperate. And I'm like, I don't think so, man. I think that stuff's fun. Yeah. I mean, and it's also kind of merit-based or whatever, where you have to kind of do something. So you have to sign up, to get the card. You have to back a tier to get the card, and then I do the raffle. But I do the raffle if I get X amount of backers, so there is a little bit of give to get in return. So it's not quite just giving things away. But I do agree with him. I mean, it can seem desperate, but that's not why I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it just because it's fun. I like it because it's fun. So let's get this bent, twisted piece of metal in here. And so one of the things I do is I try to bring some atmospheric stuff to it. So this piece is fading out, and I'm hoping that there'll be a little bit of mist and smoke. And I'll have to go over that with Kyle. He was funny because when we were talking, he was like, let me guess, you want it to look like Frank Frazetta. And I'm like, you know me too well, but no. I said, however, if you want to, I'm not going to say no. Here's a little bit of a shadow. I didn't want it to be too heavy in here, but I do realize it needs something. So there we go. Gotta check to see if there's any wet ink. So I'm going to ink this foot, and then I'll check in, see what you guys are talking about. Oh, man, did you guys see Dan Fraga? Wow, he did so well. He closed out the first 30 days last night, and I think he extended it for 30 more days. So Black Flag is doing exceptionally well. So proud of that kid with his pineapple perception, his dollar perception, his green perception. Okay, so let me see here. I got some hatching going this way. And when you do characters, you have to think of scale. So like Reed's hatching is closer together and thinner than Whitney's because she's bigger in the composition. So on this, I think the piece before this I did of Whitney, I started bringing more blacks, like spot blacks and shadows into her, and I think it's working because I was a little like apprehensive because I wanted him to stand out as like he's a dark color, he's black, and that she is really really open and white. So there's like this really stark um, difference. But even with the shadows and stuff that I've been putting on her, I think it's working. So I'm gonna put more like shadows. Like you can see, I put this big shadow in her hair right here and down in through here and stuff throughout. Not enough to make it look like like Reed's uh, suit, but enough to give it a little bit more dynamic presence. And I think it's working. So I'm probably going to continue to do that. So as an artist, you're always looking for ways to improve your approach and how you draw your characters. So this robot is on the same scale as Reed. So he needs to have similar line weights. So you don't want to make them too thick. Yeah, I really like drawing robots. They take a long time, but I like doing it. I think one of my dream jobs when I was younger and I saw Star Wars for the first time, I was like, oh man, I would love to just come up with a bunch of Star Wars robots. That would be killer. And then as far as comic books, I think my love for robots was like old Danger Room stuff when Wolverine would be able to go in and just destroy a bunch of robots, just eviscerate them. As a kid, I was like, yeah, cool. It's the only time in the old comic books that Wolverine could really use his claws too. Because he couldn't use them on human beings, which was a drag. It's weird in the movie. I think he does. He stabs like military guys and things. I think the first time I saw like Hugh Jackman in the Wolverine movie stabbing people, I was like, that's pretty cool. And you talk about a franchise that was scared to move on. I was like, I like Hugh Jackman, but man, I was ready to see somebody else play that character. I was kind of Hugh Jackman overload. I think if they did another X-Men. It'll be really interesting to see who they get to play Logan and how they choose to present the character. You know, if they kind of neuter him. Because the one thing that Fox did is they didn't neuter him. I mean, he was pretty violent. He did a lot of stabbing. He's a stabber. Yeah, I just think the stories sucked, but I think they had some good action at times. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any like anti Hugh Jackman fans out there? Any haters? I'll go to the chat and see. Yeah, I didn't mind him at first. There was a little bit of fanboy outrage when I first saw it and realized that Hugh Jackman is a pretty tall dude. And, you know, Wolverine was always like the smallest guy on the team. He had the little man syndrome. He had a chip on his shoulder, as they say. All right, let's go. We got some new faces in the chat. I'm going back in time. All right, so I'm back 157. We're 226. Looks awesome. Looking good. Art. Great piece. All right. Art, or what is this? For sure, Art. We will be live tomorrow if you want to jump in. Yeah, please give me the invite. I didn't get it until just when I went on there and started harassing you guys in the chat. So I came in late on that. So definitely it would be fun hanging out with you guys. Man, you guys were definitely in pontificator territory today, Zach, with the talking about morality of pranking and white lies. It was pretty interesting. So Zach says, go sign up for Black and White. Yes, please do. That is the pre-launch page, and that will be launching. I'm hoping the first week of June. That's what I'm hoping for. Deadline on the coloring is the 3rd. So if we can get everything done by then, possibly the 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in there of June. I can't believe we're getting in the summer months already. Hell, the friggin' chat. All right, crackhead Jeremy. I like that. Hell chat. Paul says hell chat. All right, James, what do you say? I have some Higgins Eternal and some Black Velvet. Haven't tried the leader. The deleter nibs are pretty good, but I've never tried the ink either. Hell, Paul. Oh, man, Sheldon, the comedian. Martin. I like using Copic markers or Copic, however you like to say them. Special black for large areas. I like a big, fat, juicy brush, Sheldon. That sounds sexy. A big, fat, juicy brush. Yeah, I have my my Micron here. So I think the Copics are a little bit smoother than the Microns, but these are very permanent. So the ink is really good. And I use these sometimes for curves. Maybe I'll do some just for you guys right now and show you what I use it for. We have Zaid. What's up? What's up, Philip? I'm not sure if it's Philip. I think it's Philip. And then there's Brandon. Hello, hello, hello. What's up? We have Unlucky Skydiver. Oh my gosh. If you're an unlucky skydiver, you're probably a dead skydiver, right? I don't know if you can fall from that distance and walk away. Is this a variant cover? It looks incredible. At this point, it is a variant. Well, not a variant. It's a poster print. So we're going to make these up as oversized poster prints. So there'll be, I can't remember the size, but they're bigger than 11 by 17. So it'll actually be quite a bit bigger than this image here that you're looking at right now. So it's really good size. It's the same size that we're doing all the Chrono Mechanics prints. So the Doug World Tour and the, what is it? What is the name of the print? I'm like out of time or something. Wow, I'm blanking. Time to Panic. Time to Panic is the other print. Yeah, wait, you know what? While I'm over there, let me get the size. They are they're 18 by 13. So they're 18 inches by 13 inch posters. So they're pretty big. And you know what? Just those couple inches, actually it looks significant from like, you know, like posters that you get at conventions and stuff that are usually, you know, like 11 by 17. These things look way more significant as far as size, and they look way better on the wall. Why, you ask? How do I know? Because I have some on my wall here. All right, so we got Skydiver. Robert says, incredible. Thank you, my friend. Max, Hell Chat, Hell Art, what's up? Ooh, thank you, man. Thank you for signing up. I appreciate it, Max. Yeah, the more names we get, the better. And as far as the pre-launch, Black White pre-launch second chance campaign, because you'll also get notifications before anybody else. So we're going to have some early bird specials, and those things sell out pretty fast. So you'll get the first pickings. Ooh, I see Yoko Anno, Yoko Anna in the chat. Okay. Dan is a good dude, and his work is fantastic. I think you're talking about Dan Frigaboom. Yeah, definitely. I've known that guy for like 25 years now. Would be great to get Frega on the show. He's been on the show before. But yeah, definitely. We still have time. Hello, everyone. Hi, Art. What's up, brother? And Yoko Anna. You got to say it fast because I want to say Yoko Anno. Where are my simps at? I don't know. I don't know where your simps are at. And Dino Palacio. New faces in the chat means Art is getting old. What? New faces in the chat means Art is getting old. Oh, I think I get it. I'm not sure. Okay, Sheldon. Jackman is so accurate to me. Yes, thank you. I didn't want to really say it, but yeah, I think that there's been roles that he's been in that I like, but I think it's more the movie than actually him. I think he's funny in the Ryan Reynolds Beef, though. I'm not sure what that is. Hey, guys. All right. We'll never get a good 5'4" Wolverine. Yeah, I think it also narrows the actors, right? Because I don't know how many. Forgetful. All right. Okay. All right. Bob, how you doing, man? Some of my Pontificator brothers are in the chat here. Thank you. Nice. We got Zach in the chat too. So soon. Thick ass brush. Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys are on fire in here. Ah, man, speaking of the devil. Speak of the devil, Sketch Therapy. James Dean Anderson. So when is Conflict delivering? It's been like, uh-oh. I'm not going to touch that. Junkyard Don, what's up, brother? Looks beautiful. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Wait, okay. It's happened, but I would suggest rolling the dice on it. Yeah. Damn, I want it. Yeah, soon, soon. Very cool. Robert Romano, where are you? That's why it's always better to order a large Sicilian pizza pie, more surface area. We just had a delicious pizza pie last night. Do you order 18 by 13? I think that's the size. Isn't that what I said? Hold on. Yeah, they're 18 by 13. So that's the size that the poster print will be. Peter says, hello, hello, hello. Hail Art. Okay. Mayfield Jukes. Shadowhawk. Hey, there's a shout out for my wife. Hail Artie Bear and Mama Bear. Frey has been on the show. Damn, I missed that one. Yeah, I don't know if they're still, I don't know if they go away if you don't put them in a list, but maybe if you go back under videos, you might find it. Oh, you know what? I wonder if that's the one that got, we had a video pulled down. Maybe that was the one he was in. Because I had Malin, I had a bunch of guys. It was like a big jam. Like one of the first times I like opened it up to everybody at Comicsgate. So we had a big jam, and then YouTube decided we were having too much fun and just pulled it. So maybe that's the one. So maybe it's not up anymore. Get Joe Pesci to play Wolverine. Go get your shine box. Yeah, that'd be funny. They F you in the drive-through. Or are they old faces in new socks? I showed my socks on one of these streams the other day, you guys. And then you guys made fun of me because they were white and they weren't color. Like, I guess what? It's fashionable now to wear socks that are colorful? I don't know. I didn't get the memo, man. No one alerted me to that. No one hipped me to that. All right. So let's do, oh, wait. This is a good question. Are these original characters? Don't recognize them. Yes, these are my characters, black and white. So I think I have a book here I can show you. We did a mini series in 1994 called Black and White through Image Comics in the day. And so last year I came out with volume 1. So it started off as a remastering, but then pretty much just turned into just a complete overhaul. So there's just a ton of new artwork and things and just a whole brand new story here. So we launched this last year, and I closed out the campaign, and then a lot of you guys came in later to Comicsgate and things and were like, how do I get a copy? And I was like, well, I can't. I closed it out. So then, you guys were asking, well, what if I just gave you, money through PayPal? Could you send them to me? And I was like, yeah, I could. But there were so many of them that it would have just became pretty hard to keep track of it all for my wife, because Pamela sends all the stuff out, packs it, and ships it. So Pamela and I talked about it, and we just thought, well, we'll just do a volume 1 second chance campaign. So I think we have 500 of these left. Well, the original cover, and then we have 200 of the Greg Capullo covers left. So, so Black and White are my creator-owned IP. So in a world where law and order are often blurred to gray, justice can only be ... black and white. So yeah, this was a 56-page book. And we put it out last year. And we're going to give you guys a second shot at it beginning of next month. So this piece right here is going to be, what did I say, 13 by 18, I believe, poster print. And so this is Reed Blackett, a.k.a. Black. This is Whitney Sung, a.k.a. White. So he's an ex-British intelligence with MI10. So MI10 is a future. This is a future 10 story. So there is an MI10 that did exist in the past, So MI6 is like is James Bond. So MI10 was around during the war, the Great War, the Second World War, and it was designed to be weapons development and like tech. And so they pretty much disbanded or dismantled it after the war. So I thought what would be fun is to bring back MI10, but as a robotics task force. So this is a future tense story. So Reed Blackett worked. He's retired now. He left the organization. So he's now at the time he was a robot hunter. Basically, he understood the psychology of robots. Sentient robots in this reality, in this world, are outlawed. So you can't have free thinking robots. So you could imagine that MI10 and different spy organizations and government agencies would definitely be cracking down on anybody that's creating sentient robots. And so that's kind of the main crux of the backstory with Reed. And so he kind of was unhappy with the organization, so he left the organization. And because of some really bad things that happened, and we don't get into them too much in volume 1, and we don't get into it in volume 2 either. So those two issues will mainly focus on Whitney and her origin, but we do allude to some bad things that happened to Reed in his past, and those are the things that led to him leaving the organization. Basically, he realized that the organization was probably doing more harm in certain ways than good. So he left the organization, and then he tried to create basically a new life for himself as an importer-exporter. And so the story proper starts with him, trying to help this fledgling brewery, beer manufacturing plant. And so Whitney Song is the heiress to that plant. And so she's basically, she kind of seems like the damsel in distress at first, but then you really realize that this girl can take care of herself. Her really the only real problem with her is that she's kind of blind to seeing the big picture. So she's going to get herself into a lot of trouble. And since Reed understands these things, he's been around, these type of situations in his past. He wants to make sure that she doesn't fall down and make some of the same mistakes that she's seen other people. Basically, he wants to stop her from killing the big bad. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, she has her past comes back to haunt her. And so she's kind of very, very absolute in her beliefs. So her idea of justice is seeing that guy dead. And so she's a good person, pretty much, she's intact and she's good. She's good natured and everything. But what happens is that, if she killed this guy in cold blood or whatever, then she'd kind of be damning herself. And then, she would have that holding over her head the rest of her life. And he just doesn't want her to have to deal with that because, he's got a lot of skeletons in his closet, and he just wants to make sure that she doesn't damage her psyche in that way. And so he pretty much comes out of retirement to help her, because I do like heroes that help because they can, it's kind of like the Die Hard scenario where, Bruce Willis's character helps because he's there and he can. it wasn't like it was premeditated or that, he had like some kind of master plan. He just realized that he was that guy that could step in and help these people. And I like that kind of thing where the reason you do is because you can. The reason you help is because you can. I did have a problem with that in my younger days because I was like, that's not really a reason. But I think it is a reason, and it's a pretty good one actually. Why did you help? Because no one else was there. Because no one else could. So, and I think it's a good hero beat. So that's why Reed gets involved, because he just doesn't want her to damn herself, to have to live with, killing and having that on her conscience. And also, he's just a firm believer in justice. So I like the story. I think it's cool. And when I was revamping the story, I kept thinking like, well, in a contemporary sense, Reed Blackett is very old-fashioned, and he's kind of got a pretty strong sense of morality, even though he was a spy. And that's kind of the problem that he had with being a spy, is that he's just he's not wired that way. Like, he can't kill, or he found it harder and harder to kill without conscience, to kill because somebody just said it, and he didn't really know who he was killing, or whatever the case was, destabilizing governments, whatever these kind of gray area things that spies do. He was finding it harder and harder to deal with it. So that's why he left the organization. And he's also from a spy family, so you'll find out that his father was a spy in future stories. And that's one of the reasons why he left the organization, because it didn't end very well for his dad. But I don't want to give too much away. I would imagine life as a spy, you would probably, on some level, already know that you have a really short life expectancy. It doesn't seem like you would even have any sense of permanence in this world. I think that your situation could change on a dime. So I didn't want to get too realistic with the spy stuff, because I still do like the James Bond, like just the fun, more superficial aspects. I think that's why they're going to start effing up that character too, Hollywood, is because I think they're going to try to bring too much. They're going to bring too much, I guess, for the sake of not having a better term, but like SJW isms to the character, and they're going to kind of try to make apologies for why he is the way he is. And I just think that's not only is it a mistake, but it also is just going to take the fun out of it. One thing about James Bond, and it's pretty amazing that it's lasted this long, is that concept, that character. James Bond is an incredibly shallow, superficial character. Like, he doesn't have a lot of depth to him. For the most part, you don't really know too much of his backstory and what makes him tick. And I think the reason it's had that kind of longevity is because he is that guy. Like, you just don't like from one adventure to the other, he's kind of like the same guy. He's always the same. He approaches things the same way. His thought process is the same. And I know that, there are people that probably go, well, you got to kind of grow the character and make him grow up to be contemporary. But you got to be really careful with that, because you don't want to spoil the fun. Because if something is kind of superficial, you can have more fun with it. What I mean by that is you can enjoy it. Because if it's too realistic, especially like for Bond, was not meant to be like a really deep, like thriller type of spy adventure. It's just kind of a fun, superficial character that gets into all kinds of cool action adventure situations. And if you try to bring too much reality to it, I think it just gets boring. And I think you're going to scrutinize it in a way that it was never meant to be scrutinized. That's the problem I have with a lot of superhero movies too, and superhero concepts, when people like, oh, well, that's corny, or that's campy, or that's silly. Yeah, the character's name's Spider-Man. Like, it's already corny and campy. Like, like, it's too late. It's built into the character. Like, superheroes are not real. They're fun. And I think if you try to bring too much real world logic to them, you lose the fun, and you lose you end up just kind of making a mess, because you start scrutinizing the world and the characters in a way that it just is not going to hold up. Like, these ideas don't hold up to scrutiny. How can you possibly, in any kind of realistic way, explain somebody that gets spider powers? Like, that's pretty out there as just an idea. So I think you always have to keep them fun and on some level superficial, because if you try to bring too much reality to them, it falls apart. Because the concept, you can't change the concept. The concept is what it is. It's Peter Parker gets bit by a spider. Like, that's the idea. So, and then he dresses up like a spider and goes and fights crime. Like, that's pretty out there as far as an idea. That has no bearing in reality. So I thought, like what Tim Burton did with the first Batman movie, and the way they were thinking about that. The reason that Batman movie isn't in New York City, and it isn't, in any kind of real world setting, like, everything in that movie is artificial. The cars are from a weird time. I think there's even a gremlin in there. It feels noirish. It feels like it's from the 40s or 50s. Some of it, the guys are wearing fedoras and trench coats, and there's all kinds of like things going on. And the buildings are like buildings that you've never seen before. So the art direction was fairly unique. So they put Batman in his own world. They didn't put him in our world. They put him in his own world. So I think what they understood, at least for that movie, is that this is going to work better if you don't relate it to any kind of real world situations. And so they took a chance and they created that reality. And for the most part, I think it worked. I thought it was a pretty cool idea. And so, they did the next couple Batmans, and they kind of followed the same rule, where they were going to kind of like not deal with too much reality. And then the Nolan films happened. And so I think the Nolan films, what people need to understand about the Nolan film is that he purposefully left a lot of the more over-the-top comic book stuff out of that movie because he realized that you really can't do it believable in a believable way. So he really toned back a lot of the ideas, and that's why he could do what he did. But, you know, it wasn't really like, it didn't feel like a comic book. It didn't feel like a comic book movie, but it was definitely what he wanted to do. He wanted to do more of a realistic take on The Dark Knight. And it stood on its own. But then, you know, you get Zack Snyder coming in, and then, you know, he's going to put things in the real world, but at the same time, he's going to try to embrace the more comic book stuff. And I don't know, man. Like that guy brought way too much real world reality to it. I remember him talking about, you know, everything is political. You know, his belief is that everything is political these days. So then he wanted to bring all that politics stuff to the movies. And once again, as soon as you start scrutinizing these concepts in a real way, and you know, he's forcing you to see these concepts in a real world way. That's what he's doing. It just falls apart, man. You can't do that. These are fantasies. I think that at best what you can do is what Marvel did. And that's why Marvel, I think, has succeeded all this time, because there are people like, oh, the Marvel movies are just fluff films, they're superficial. It's like, yeah, they are, because they have to be, because how do you take a character called Black Panther seriously? How do you take a character named, you know, Spider-Man seriously? You can't. So you kind of have to keep it superficial, and you have to keep them fun and moving, because if you scrutinize too much, these ideas just fall apart because they just don't have any real world basis. You can't do them. And I would hope that Hollywood would understand these things better. It seems like Hollywood goes, you know, one step forward and then, you know, two steps back. Because Warner Brothers and those guys, they understood, you know, in that Burton film, to keep it superficial, you know, the first Batman film. You know, don't get too serious with it. I mean, it was serious, but the world was like, you couldn't compare it to, you know, anything. So when like really ridiculous things happened, it was kind of like the world was already heightened. It was already a comic book world, I guess is the best way to say it. The world was already a comic book. So they just put the character in the middle of a comic book reality. And the best part about it is they did it very matter of fact, and they didn't do it tongue in cheek. They played it very seriously. So all the actors were pretty much, you know, playing it serious. It wasn't campy and it wasn't corny to them. The world was very real. And I think that's why it worked. And I think the Marvel films understand that on some level, even though they put the characters in real world space, but they don't really bring too much reality to it. This nib is dirty. So here is Robot getting thrashed. So I'm going to finish him up. I think I'm going to stay focused on the robot, but I'm going to come into the chat because I don't want to be rude. I want to see what you guys are doing. This is part of the fun for me. Okay, we're going back in time. Blackett, you're getting too old for this shit. Yeah. Exactly. I think he says that in the first comic book. I don't know if he says it in the new one. Dude. Oh, Tom. Oh man, Tom Cruise is Wolverine. He's finally starting to age. He can be Wolverine. I don't know. You know what the cool thing about sometimes it doesn't fit because I don't know if he means to do this, but sometimes Tom Cruise can look maniacal, like he can look like unhinged, and sometimes I don't think he's trying to. I think he just does that. So that could be pretty cool. We got Skull. What is this? Skull Gnasher, Skull Crusher, Skull Gnasher. Skull Gnasher. They should team up with Magnus Robot Fighter. Yeah, I always love that idea. The Magnus Robot Fighter idea. I never thought the character looked that great. Like I thought the design was kind of. I don't know. It didn't really It didn't do anything for me. John Leguizamo or Wolverine. He's a good actor, but man, he would have to seriously bulk up. But these guys are all older. I guess you could do it because Wolverine is kind of ageless, I guess, because of his healing factor. I don't think I'm going to be raffling this one off, my friend. Oh, man. Who hurt Graveyard Shift or Grift's fees? Oh, look at the image. Oh, my gosh. Oh, wait, there's another Tom Cruise here. I should have went back further. I'm going back in time. Peter Dinklage. No. You know Peter Dinklage would be perfect is what was his name? Puck? What was the Alpha Flight character's name? That guy, he would be a perfect was it Puck? What the hell's that guy's name? I haven't read a comic book in years, as you can tell. Oh, wait, Peter says, yes, make it happen. Yeah, if it's a comedy, it would give like the whole fastball special. Like, could you imagine? Like, SJWs would have a field day with that. Oh, yeah, throw the little man. It would be funny, though. I would like to see it. Damn, that's pretty. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Let's see what Bob says. If Tom Cruise would bulk up and go a little grittier, he'd almost be perfect. He's 5'6". Some say he was 5'4". But yeah, I mean that's still within size. Make sure that you get Jean Grey, a taller actress. I don't think that would be too hard either, because I think most of the women that Tom Cruise either associated with or married, I think, were taller than him. I think he's shorter than 5'6", to be honest. I think what somebody said was 5'4". I think that's more accurate. He's probably 5'6" because he always has those lifts in his shoes. You can tell he's got lifts in his shoes because he's got the lifts and he has those thick soles. He always wears those like big, thick shoes. I wonder who hurt Graveyard Grift's feelings. Who did that? And why? Why would you do that? That's horrible. Let's see. What does Sketch say? I thought that if I made some good pinup before some is gone, I am just one other people would remember me when I don't know who I am, where I am, and what I am from the dementia. Okay, I stepped into something there. I'm not really sure what that's about. Max, that is pretty awesome concept art, especially now since we are nearing the singularity bubble of fully functional artificial intelligence. Yeah, I think like the internet, man. we need to get some solid rules down before this technology really hits, because once it's there, I think it's going to be hard to legislate. Just like the internet, I think the tech companies got out in front, and they're trying to pretty much just by existing and putting their rules out there, they're pretty much trying to skew things in their favor before legislation can happen. And you don't hear very many people actually talking about that. We need our leaders to start setting up some kind of guidelines, not censorship, but just some kind of guidelines that actually support clearly the people, almost like a Bill of Rights for the internet. Thank you, Yoko Anna. I do appreciate it. And hell, we get into robots, that's going to be a whole new thing. Did anyone ever check on the Oodles book count for a sketchbook tier? I think I'm standing by it. I think it's 5 to 8 books, Mighty Joe. So I might be doing something with it soon. I'm gonna start I got some designers that I'm working with now, so I'm gonna start working on volume 2 of the Oodles art book. So I'm hoping to have that out. I got a bunch of plans. I just gotta find time to bring them all together. That's always the problem. You got some love there, Sketch Therapy. Yeah, definitely, man. Okay, Max. This one's we love all of you, Sketch. You're the first person that welcomed me to Comicsgate and the Fandom Menace. You're a cool dude, my man. It's an honor knowing you in all these fandoms. We all know you care. Oh, definitely, man. Even when Sketch gets irate, you know that his heart's in the right place. Anybody that can get that passionate about comic books, is a good guy. Really digging your analysis. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Arnold. Let me get back to my robot drawing soon. Wait, what is this? Max, art. The rumor mill in Hollywood is that Geoff Johns is some bad person. I think he is a fantastic writer, and I met him. He was really humble. What's your take? I've only met Geoff a couple times. He seemed kind of like a no-nonsense guy, just kind of taking care of business. So I don't really have too much of like a personal take on the guy. I do like a lot of his writing. I like a lot of his ideas. I think as far as the Warner Brothers stuff and the film, the theatrical DC Universe stuff, I think he was a scapegoat in what happened, because what was it, when Justice League tanked, I think Geoff Johns and his partner got fired. So I guess there's in the corporate world, there's always got to be a head that's got to roll. So I guess it was Geoff Johns, but from what I understand, Geoff Johns' partner also were integral in greenlighting and overseeing Aquaman and Shazam, which were both hits. So you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I think people get fired prematurely. I think sometimes people overreact because there has to be blood. There has to be like a blood sacrifice. Like, corporate stuff is so weird to me. Like, they're almost like a weird cult, tribal, like there's got to be blood. Somebody has to pay for this. And it's usually never the person that really needs to. It's always some fall guy just to make everybody feel like they did something. So personally, I think that Geoff Johns and his partner, I wish I could remember his name, I think they were fall guys in the film stuff. And I believe if Geoff Johns wanted to do anything in comics right now, he could. I don't think anybody would be stopping him. So I really don't have a problem with him. Like I said, I met him a couple times, and he seemed very cool. Shadowhawk, EVS won't really even talk about him. Don't know what that means. I think Ethan says good things about Jeff. I don't think he says anything bad about him. I just think this is my take on Jeff Johns. Just what I know about him is that I think, and this is all speculation, is I think that the DC universe, theatrical universe, needs what is his name? The Marvel guy. They need a guy like that to oversee, these movies, and to make sure that that they're true to the comic book, and that that even when they stray, that the intent is this, good. And I thought that Jeff Johns was a good choice for that, but he also seems almost. Kevin Feige is the guy I'm thinking of. He almost seems too nice. Like he's almost too diplomatic in his demeanor and his approach, meaning that Kevin Feige seems like a guy that if you mess with him, he would probably be able to go toe-to-toe with you, and he would argue his point, and that he would figure out a way to make it happen. And sometimes it's not just about having a good idea. It's about being able to execute it, to be able to sell the idea. And Kevin Feige always seemed like that guy. Like he seems like a nice guy, but if he had something that he wanted to get done and you were in his way, that he would manually move you out of his way to get it done. And Jeff Johns just doesn't seem like that kind of guy. He seems more diplomatic. He seems more fair or nice, I guess is the word. And I do think if you're going to get things done, you have to have this demeanor of like importance, or that don't question me or don't cross me, I guess is the better way to say it. Because there are people that are going to question you. There are people that are going to challenge you. There are people that are going to get in your way. And if you don't know how to maneuver around that, or have at least the demeanor that, it comes across like, don't mess with me, then I think you're going to get eaten up, and you're going to get used up, and you're going to get spit out. And I don't know if that's what led up to Jeff losing his position there. But personally, I think that's what happened. Like the reason I think Zack Snyder went as far as he did, because I never made any bones that Zack Snyder was a nice guy or a good guy. He seems like a guy that would argue and get his way. So that's my take on that. Like I said, it's just speculation. Yeah, the world is that somehow he did Zack Snyder dirty. He always seemed like a nice dude. I don't really believe all the vitriol. I don't think he did Zack Snyder dirty at all. I think Zack Snyder's mistakes were very self-evident. I don't think anybody had to put a nail in that guy's coffin. I think he did that all on his own. Patton Oswalt as Wolverine. Yes, these are all excellent choices. You guys are on fire. So Puck is the character. Thank you. He's the Alpha Flight character. What is this? Love Leguizamo. He's my Puerto Rican brother, but Tom Cruise would be better. I'm sure there's a better fit for Leguizamo in Marvel. Yeah, you know what? Because he's a really good actor. The dude's a really good actor. Yeah, dwarf tossing. If you start throwing around, what is that guy's name? I forgot his name already. Then you're gonna get. Yeah, you're probably gonna get into trouble. What did you guys say? That guy from Game of Thrones. I'm horrible with names. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember now. I can't. Holy crap. Peter Dinklage. Yeah, Peter Dinklage. How could I forget Peter Dinklage? That's such a weird name. All right. Let's figure out where we're at. Oh, thank you, Peter Dinklage. Yeah. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, if I stagger around long enough, I'll figure it out. He's an angry elf. I give Zack Snyder respect. He took a lot of heat from fans, but he never turned on. Oh, Zack Snyder did turn on. You got to do your homework, man. He was like calling people man babies. He's like, this is not your dad's Superman. Like, oh, he did say some stuff, Max. Yeah, I don't think. I'm sorry if you really like the guy, but I think Zack Snyder is. He's not a very nice guy, and I don't believe he understands fundamentally what a superhero is, because he doesn't believe in altruism, and that was in an interview. I read that. He actually said he doesn't believe in altruism. He says what seems like altruism is still for ulterior motives. So if somebody dies saving somebody, then they had an ulterior motive. He's a really cynical guy. He's a really dark-minded guy. And I don't think he's the guy for the DC universe. I think he did good with Watchmen. He might do good with Batman. But I think that what Frank Miller did with Batman that was great is that Batman's world and Batman was dark, but Batman always seemed like a good stand-up guy. You know, like his morality was intact. And I just don't trust Zack Snyder enough to be able to bring that into play. Because also what Zack did in Batman versus Superman is he had Batman kill. And I've said this before on the show. There's one fundamental thing that Batman can never do, and he cannot kill. Because then morally, he does not have the high ground anymore. Then he is a vigilante that's taking law and justice into his own hands in a finite way. You start killing people, even if you're doing the greater good, or some people think you're doing the greater good, he would become public enemy number one, and the world would not stand for that. He might be a badass, but he cannot take on the entire U.S. military. And there would be a manhunt like you've never seen before if Batman really existed and started killing. So I think, once again, trying to make these concepts as believable as possible, but not bringing too much real world stuff to it. Don't have Batman kill. Have him always work within the confines of the law. That's why Gotham PD is such an important part of the story, and Commissioner Gordon are important, because he has to work within the confines of the law. He can't be the law. He can't be the Punisher. He's not Judge Dredd. He doesn't have a badge. He's not a cop. He's not sanctioned to do any of these things. He wasn't an elected official. So the real fine line that the character has to walk is that he has to information gather. He has to work with the PD. He has to give them evidence, so that they can actually make the bust, so they can do it legally. Otherwise, none of this stuff would hold up in a court of law. I know I'm bringing a lot of reality to it, but I think that's the level of reality that you have to bring to Batman, because if you don't, then it does fall apart. If you have him start killing people. That's my take on Batman anyway. And that's good, Max, that you're not a fan of Man of Steel and the what was it, Batman versus Superman. Okay. Comics Gate for life. Yes. Oh, we got Leg Kick. What's up? I understand you have enemies yourself, but the dudes back you. The dudes back you. Oh, cool. Yes, Sketch Therapy. It's all good, man. Don't fret. Life's too short. Don't worry. What is that song? Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here is finish up this robot and then call it a stream. And then call it a day. But I do, as reward, as always, you guys, for hanging with me, I'm going to show you some killer Chrono stuff once we're done here. So don't go anywhere. We're going to show you some trading cards. The front, inside, and back cover to Chrono Retrofit. It came out so cool, man. It is so cool. All right, let's get this little tech piece in here. My ink is being a drag. Don't be a drag, ink. All right. Just a bunch of tech pieces come flying out of this dude. Okay. Just making up robot body pieces, body parts. All right, so we got the busted up parts done. I'm not sure about these circles. I think I'm going to bring in my my micron here. Gonna lighten up some of this pencil a little bit though. It's easier for me to make a freehand circle with a micron than it is with the Crow quills. I used to, if I was going to make circles, I would actually use circle templates, and then I would use a rapidograph. But rapidographs are a pain in the ass, and I really don't like templates, so I would rather freehand things. Oh, I think this is my ultra thin. I think I need my thicker one. This one's not being cool. So what is this? The 005. 005. Let me see. Let me see what this one's doing here. Yes. The right tool. Oh, excuse me. Wow. The right tool for the right job. Wow. Hold on. I need a drink of water. I'm getting dry. Agua. Más agua, Pee-wee. Okay. Did you hear, like, speaking of Batman and casting, what is that guy's name? I can't, they said he's gonna be the new Penguin in the Batman movie. What is that dude's name? He was in that remake of Total Recall. He's a good actor, but for some reason, I always think of Cobblepot as a smaller dude, and I don't think that guy's small. And what is his name? Patrick. I don't even know the actor's name. That's going to play Batman. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that either. That is definitely. I can't say I'm looking forward to it. I don't mind. I think having a younger Batman is a good idea. I like Ben Affleck, but I didn't think that for starting a new universe, the DC universe, that it's a great idea to start off with an aging hero, especially a main hero like Batman. Like, what the heck are you guys doing? Batman's already past his prime. Oh, that's cool. Let's watch the old Batman. The reason Dark Knight Returns was cool is because it was an Elseworlds tell, and it was like a one and done. But how do you tell an ongoing story with an aging hero? And the story is not about an aging hero, because like Dark Knight Returns was about an aging hero. But bringing him into a universe, like a new universe, and trying to get it going like that, I think that's why I think Zach is just he's an imbecile. I don't think that was it was a bad idea from the get go. You need to start off with a younger guy, because if it is a franchise type of movie that you're doing, you're going to do more than one. You're going to serialize these and tell multiple adventures. Then I think you need to have like a younger guy. I know that they were probably going, oh well, Tony Stark or Robert Downey Jr. was an older guy. Yes, but he wasn't Batman. Like Tony Stark is a physical, Iron Man's a physical character, but he's not a fighter. He's not like a street level fighter. So I think it's weird to have, something like that, where you have, this guy in a new universe, and he's already past his prime. And also the way they introduced the character, like everybody already knew him. Like the Batman had previously existed. Like at least when they did, like with Tony Stark, Tony Stark existed, but there was no Iron Man. So within the story, you got to see Tony Stark become Iron Man. You never got that in that movie. Like, it was so weird. He just is. He's just there. And then all of a sudden, the Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman, all of a sudden, Clark Kent has a problem with Batman and his morality. Well, if Batman is that old and has been Batman and had this past, then you would already known about him. You would already know his tactics and what that guy was all about. And I would think by that point, society would have given that guy a pass if he still existed. If not, he'd either be dead or behind bars. So as smart as Zack Snyder or everybody says he is, I think he's pretty stupid, to be honest. I think he's like one of those guys you probably met somebody like this. They're like there's like seemingly intellectuals, right? They talk on all these high levels and stuff like that, and they're always, have the way they carry themselves and stuff is like there's some kind of intellectual. And when you really think about what they're saying, it's kind of absurd and asinine, but it's just kind of their demeanor and the way they carry themselves that you give them any kind of credibility. You think like, oh man, he seems to know what he's talking about. He's got authority. He's talking with confidence. And then you're like, that guy's full of crap. I think Zach is an incredibly charismatic person. And I think he went in and I know exactly how he sold it, like based on, like you want, something cinematic, you want something big, you want something contemporary, you want something modern, I can give you that. This is what the sensibility should be. Like I said, like he was saying that everything in life now is politicized. So, he goes in with like everything's politicized these days. So this is going to have a heavy political backdrop to it. We're going to see how the world would really deal with Superman. Like, how would the world really deal with Superman? I don't know. I mean, do we want to hold these characters up to this kind of scrutiny? Like I said before, do we really want to bring that kind of reality to it? Because he's a guy that wears a red and blue suit with a cape and he flies. Like, do you want to like bring too much reality to that? Good luck. I just think it becomes too much of an impossible task. It's too much uphill climb. Like I said, Kevin Nolan, that's funny. Christopher Nolan did it, but he was definitely limited to what he could do because he couldn't really do too much of the DC universe stuff because he was limited by his reality. He had set this mandate for the movies, and so then he had to be locked into that. So as soon as you, like with the Chris Nolan thing, as soon as you bring in any kind of other elements like supernatural, or you bring in, Superman is superpowered, he's an alien from another planet, like you start bringing that stuff into that Chris Nolan film universe, it would fall apart in a heartbeat because it's not built to accommodate that stuff. And I think that Zack Snyder was doing something like a cross between Chris Nolan and the Marvel universe, I guess, but just failing at it miserably. Like I said, I liked his Watchmen. I think he was the perfect guy for Watchmen. It fit his sensibilities. But the DC universe, I always thought was actually even more hopeful than the Marvel universe. Like it always seemed like those characters got along a little bit more and were a little bit more upbeat. So I was like, why is Zack Snyder doing this universe? That guy is cynical beyond cynical. I like that he had to tell us too, like, what's the S on his chest for? It's for hope. I'll say it in the movie, but I'm not going to show it to you. Where was the hope? What did he do? How did he inspire people? He didn't do any of that stuff. Like Superman was a downer, man. He had Superman be petty and wrap this guy's truck, turn it into a pretzel and wrap it around a tree or a post. And I just thought, like, all right, you constructed this whole. Oh man, I'm getting this gets me going, man. Like I absolutely hate those movies. Is so Zack Snyder's world is that Superman cannot be seen. Like, well, he's not Superman yet, but Clark cannot show his powers. Like his dad has, kind of said, like, absolutely not. We got to bury this. You cannot help people. You cannot do any of these things, right? So that's what we're supposed to believe. And then we're supposed to believe that Clark loves his dad and believes his dad so much that he let his dad die. Like he didn't save his dad because he honored what his dad said. Like no matter what, you can't do this, right? So he doesn't. And he could have very easily saved his dad, and nobody would have ever even known that he had done it because he could move as fast as the Flash. Okay, so there's that. So then in the movie, he wraps this truck because some douchebag throws a can of beer at his head or whatever. And so then, he wraps that guy's truck around this post. All right, let's go real world scenario there, Zach. One, he let his dad die and could have saved his dad, no problem, but let him die because he didn't want to expose himself to the world. But he'll expose himself in a petty way over this really knuckle dragger, type of person that was obviously in the wrong. Like nobody watching that was thinking that guy was a good guy. Nobody. So wouldn't it have been better if he just kind of walked away and didn't do anything? But you're like going to muck up the waters and you're going to go, oh, well, that's not very believable. Most people would do this. Yeah, but most people aren't Clark Kent. That's the point. The point is that that's not what Clark Kent would do. That's not what Superman would do. And it wasn't even like he was young and he was being stupid. Like this was when he was older. This is when he was trying to find himself. This was after, I think it was after his dad had already died. So he's not even honoring his father's death at that point. I was like, what the hell is this? You made a point and then you shit all over the point in this one scene just because you thought you would get some crowd reaction. Like people would go, oh man, that's what I would do if I was Superman. I would have kicked that guy's ass. It's like, yeah, but once again, you don't fundamentally understand what this character is all about. So stupid. Yeah, I don't like that guy. I don't know if you guys can tell. I have a little problem with him. It really is a fine line when you start trying to bring real world stuff to these superheroes. It really, it's not as easy as it might seem. There is definitely a tone and there's a pretty fine line that really can't be crossed. But it seems like Zack Snyder doesn't have a problem with that. So I hope he never, ever does another superhero movie. Because also, what was his Sucker Punch movie? I thought that was disgusting. Like he tried to sell that like it was, oh, this is This is girl power. This is an empowerment movie for females. He even had the female lead saying that at, the red carpet interviews and stuff. And I was like, dude, this is not a female empowerment movie. This is very exploitive. This is just the opposite of that. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is weird. So I gave Zach a try. I tried to support his work. So I was definitely one that saw all of his work. And so it's not like just a armchair, like just a casual. I saw them. I paid money. I gave them my money. So all right. I think body torso's done. Put a couple little nicks there. Line there. And I think we got a couple nick hatches there. All right, is the gun's done? Okay, so I have this little screen here. I didn't want to make it. Ink's drying. Get it wet again. Okay, see if I can match this to here. Okay. All right, so we got that. Let's do some cross hatching. All right, ink, be cool. Be cool, ink. I get weird when it doesn't flow very well. All right. Wow, it came out cool. Yes. Yes, indeedy do. All right, head's done. Body's done. His guts are done. His legs are done. We got ourselves a robot here, you guys. We got a destroyed robot. And you got to see me do it. You get to see me do it. Look at that. There you go. In all his gory. It's pretty cool, man. So like I said, I'm just going to ink this guy up. I still want to ink more. Maybe I'll let you guys, if you guys want to egg me on, I'll do some more. But if not, I'm going to read the chat and then show you some cool stuff. So yeah, I have her eyes. Well, pretty much her face details. I think there's some more staff detail. I think her body's done, except for her holster strap there. I got some hatching on the shoulder piece here and some hatching down in here. Maybe I could do that live on the live stream. And then I have a little bit of detail here on the arm that's getting pulled off. And then Reed's face. But yeah, most of this is done. Yeah, cool. Let me clean my nib. I'm going to read the chat, and then I'm going to show you some cool stuff. Actually, I should put this back here so you have something to look at. So you just have my drawing board. All right. Let's do this. We're going back in time. 341. It's 344. Let's go back. Ayn Rand. Uh-oh. Snyder is a follower of Ayn Rand. Ooh, you guys got some insight. Yeah, Zack Snyder is an interesting guy to talk about. I think he's more interesting to talk about than his movies. Colin Farrell, thank you, as the Penguin. Yes. Oh my gosh, Carl Urban would be a great Batman. He was a great Dredd. I don't know how you guys felt about that last Dredd movie. I thought it was really good. Okay. Emotional youngsters. You guys are having your own chat, which is fine. I encourage the community. I don't feel left out. It's okay. Hope your day is going well. Leg kick. You guys are cool. Car broke down. Mayfield jukes. Okay. Got Colin Farrell, thank you guys. Carl Urban would be a great Batman. I like that. Is Carl Urban, is he a tall guy? I don't really know his stature. He seems like a big dude. I thought he was a waste in that Thor movie though, man. I mean, I'm glad that they redeemed his character and let him go out with the blaze of glory. But man, I thought like, wow, what a waste of a really good actor. It's just like I know I got a little bit of slack on this, but like Chris Pine, I thought Chris Pine would have been a great Hal Jordan, and they just wasted him in that Wonder Woman movie. Yeah, 300 was kind of a, for me, it was a good idea. It was a pretty good execution. But one thing about the early Snyder films, even the later stuff, they look like video games. Like his visuals, like that's one thing I can't even really get behind. Like some people really like his visuals, and I think they can be good at times, but they look really artificial to me. They look like video game, especially like the last act of Wonder Woman, which I'm totally convinced it was his draft that they filmed from that. Because man, that thing just turned into a video game. That was horrible. That movie deserved better. I got to read this, Max. Max is on fire in the chat today. Snyder is a follower of Ayn Rand. He made all the characters follow her collectivist philosophy, which is basically about the individual only caring about themselves. Yeah, there are people like that, but not everybody's like that, man. If you get out of the house and you start meeting people, get out of Hollywood, I should say, Snyder, and start seeing real people. There are real people that do great things, unselfish things for each other. I would die for my family. How do you explain that, Zack Snyder? Oh, you want your lineage to go on because they're your flesh and blood, and that you'll live forever through them. I don't know, man. That's a really cynical way of looking at it. But yeah, that's I don't know. I think he's a weirdo. I think he's messed up, and I don't know. I don't want to be cold-blooded here, but when I heard that his daughter killed herself, I was like, well, dude, if I hung out in that household with your outlook on life, holy shit, man, I would probably kill myself too. I know that was really bad, and I'm sorry, but I really don't like that guy, as you can tell. Yeah, Hollywood is pushing far leftist ideology. So, of course, Clark will expose himself to fight a bigot. I never thought about it like that, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because he won't save his dad, but he'll out himself to, to show a bigot. Like, how does that even really put that guy in his place? You know what I mean? Like, that guy didn't learn a lesson. Like, it's so disconnected. How would he even realize, like, that guy that I threw a beer bottle at or a beer can at, he just wrapped my truck around a pole? Like, how on earth could you even like make any of these kind of comparisons? You can't. And also, by the way, if that actually happened in the real world, Zack Snyder, if that happened in the real world, everybody and their brother would have that, like the Bigfoot footage. If all of a sudden there was a truck wrapped around a power pole, could you imagine all the ancient alien theorists, conspiracy theorists, and just the press having a field day with that? Holy crap. That photo would be the most famous photo to ever exist. It would be right up there with the Bigfoot footage. I like the faith conversation with the priest in Man of Steel. That was surprisingly, that was good. And you know what? I will say this. I know I'm casting a lot of shade, but if Clark Kent wouldn't have let his father die in that tornado, I think I would have liked the film a lot more. I think it still had some problems, but that one for me morally was so wrong. Like, some people really got hung up on that Superman killed what is his name? I can't Zod. But the thing is, the way that was set up in the movie, there was only one way it could end. Zod had to die, because where would they have put him? Like, put him back in the Phantom Zone? Well, he got out. He got out of the Phantom Zone. What would hold him? There's no penitentiary. There's nothing to hold him. There's only one thing that they could have done in that story. He had to die because it just had too many other problems that would have came out of him living, based on the story that Zack Snyder chose to tell. If you structured it differently, you could have had a different outcome. But based on the way it was structured, the story, it had to end that way. So I had less of a problem with that. Like, I could go, okay, this is Zack Snyder's. This is a theatrical version of Superman. It's not exactly my Superman, but it's okay. But there's nobody that loves their father that could stand back and let them die, and let them die in such a horrific way when they had it in their power. He wouldn't have even had to break a sweat to save his dad, and he let him die. Who could do that? I couldn't do that. I would die saving my father. I'd have to give it a try. I wouldn't have just let him be torn apart in a tornado like that. That would be horrible. That's horrible. And Superman could move as fast as the Flash. He could have went there, saved his dad, and got back under that bridge before anybody even blinked their eye. So it was bullshit. That whole scene was bullshit. I hated it. And the way it was set up, I have a scene rewrite. So I've said this before on these streams, but I'll say it again because I think it's brilliant. I'm patting myself on the back right now. Okay. So the setup was those guys were arguing. Clark wanted to go to college. He's getting older, and his dad's being really, really selfish, right? His dad's saying, I want you to stay on the farm. Your place is on the farm. Okay, Dad, you never knew that I was going to grow up and leave you and Mom? Okay, so your dad's already being unrealistic. Dad's already being a jerk in this conversation, right? You have to let your children go at some point. And this kid is asking to go to college. You know what I mean? He's putting his heart on his sleeve. He's asking permission from his father. He's not just doing it. He's still respecting this guy, right? So they get in an argument. Tornado comes up, right? Oh, we got to go back. We're safe, but let's go back for the dog. The dad's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. So he goes back for the dog, gets caught in a tornado, right? So he gets sucked up in the tornado. I thought as a departure from the scene would be that Clark's got super hearing, right? He can hear his dad. He can hear his dad up in the tornado, and his dad's getting thrashed around. He's getting beat the hell out of, right? And so then his dad is like, he's just praying. He's like, please, please, somebody, anybody, save me, help me, please. Like he's just screaming it. Like, you know, he's faced with death. You know, he doesn't want to die. And so then out of nowhere, he gets swooped up. He gets brought into a calm place, you know, outside of the storm. And so he lands, and then he realizes it's his son. His son just saved his life. Okay, so now he realizes beyond a shadow of a doubt, he was wrong. So all that time when they were younger and he was saying like, well, what, Dad, should I not help people? And then his dad says, maybe you shouldn't help people. Maybe you should let all your friends in that school bus die. Like, what the hell, man? That's just bad. But if you're going to play it that way, right, you're going to try to bring some gray area. Like, okay, Jonathan Kent is clearly overwhelmed by the power of his son, right? He clearly doesn't know what to do. So he's kind of giving his son bad advice, right? So this is not like the Jonathan Kent of the comic books, but let's just say, okay, this is Zack Snyder's Jonathan Kent. Okay, so then at that point, when he's pleading to be saved, and he's saved by his son, then he understands. He understands what his son was meant to do. He understands that when people are at their weakest, when they're exposed, when there's absolutely, get this, no hope. The S on the chest is for hope. When there's absolutely no hope, there's this guy that wears the S, and that he'll save your life. And that's what the concept is. Fundamentally, that's what Superman is. And that's why I think Zack is a hack, because he didn't understand that. How could you have written that scene? It's asinine. It's retarded. It's stupid. I understand maybe setting it up that Jonathan Kent is more of a contemporary, realistic guy. He doesn't really have an overview of what his son is or what his son should do, you know, so he's just trying to keep him safe in a very selfish way. You know, he's trying to keep him at the farm, saying, I need you here, you know, to try to keep him out of the real world, to keep him safe, but then realizes that he was wrong, that his son needs to share his abilities and his power with people. And my gosh, that would have changed the movie 100%. And also, it would have made Jonathan Kent look like a good guy. Like Jonathan Kent in that entire movie, to me, looked like a douchebag. I didn't want Jonathan Kent to be my father. That guy was an idiot. My dad wouldn't have given me that advice. Whose dad would have done that? Maybe you should have let those kids die. I don't know if my daughter saved a busload of kids, I would praise her as a hero. But that's just me. But that is just me. So that's my take on the Superman idea. These are sinister waters, fellas. Yeah, and then there's the death, you know, like they did in the other movie. Like he had a heart attack. That's a great way to play it too. But I mean, if you wanted to do it different, you know, then you play it up the way I just said. But you know, the way that it was done was brilliant. His dad just died of natural causes. He had a heart attack, and his son couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't save him. He has all these powers, but he couldn't save him. You know, I mean, if you're going to just have the dad die, I mean, that's a better scene. But it's not an awakening moment, you know, for Superman. That's more of a humbling moment that he can't be everything to everyone, that he can't save everyone. So that's kind of a different life lesson, but it's still really good. I really do applaud, you know, the natural causes to give Clark kind of a wake up call that, you know, he is Superman, but there are limitations to even Superman. So it's another humbling, it's another human experience that this all powerful, I don't like to call him a god, but I know Zack Snyder does. You know, this all powerful God, that it can bring him down to a human level and get him to think about life and death the way the rest of us do. Okay, so Wolverine, whatever you try to do to it, you're still left with a Jonathan Kent that never would have successfully raised Clark to be Superman. Yeah, you mean in the Zack Snyder? Yeah. He wouldn't have raised him that way, but at least at that moment that we didn't get in the movie, they did some kind of like stupid, like he sees his dad in some kind of spirit form or whatever. Like later, listen, man, that's a lame attempt to try to bring some kind of closure to this. That it was asinine. That was just let it go at that point. If you can't really fix it in a satisfactory way, just let it go. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it still wouldn't have done that, but it would have at least given Clark the superhero beat. His dad would have given him permission to be what he's supposed to be. He would have said, "It's okay, son. I know what you're supposed to do, and I've been holding you back. And for that, I apologize." So at least, you know, we would have known that he sees it. In the way it was, you never got that feeling because he was dead. Kevin Costner and Clark Sr. deserve better. Yeah. I thought casting, when I heard that Kevin Costner was going to be Jonathan Kent, I was like, brilliant. That is brilliant. Like that's perfect casting. And you know what? For what they gave him, he nailed it, but I think it was all wrong. All these powers, all the things I can do, and I couldn't save him. Donner understood. Yep. He sure did. All right. Well, let's get into the cool stuff. Like this wasn't cool enough. This is going to be the icing on the cake, you guys. So let me share. All right. Oh, just in case you guys couldn't see it real clearly, this is where I started with the pencils. So I thought this scanned really well, so I wanted to show it off. Maybe I'll do like a pencil, like a variant pencil, because this would be pretty cool for a variant cover or a variant pinup. I don't know. I'll think of something, but the scan came out really good. I can actually take the blue line out as well. There's some blue line stuff in here to make a better like print if I was indeed going to do a pencil version. So that's that. Give you a little bit close up. That's a little bit bigger than actual size. And the 94 on this robot shoulder is the year that the black and white miniseries came out from Image Comics. So yeah, pretty proud of this thing. I think it came out really good. So we got that. So let's see. We have these. This is the back cover, you guys, for Chrono Mechanics. So I thought this came out really cool. So it's not just an adventure, it's their job. And so then we have all the cool, fun reviews on the back. I wish I could have got more back there, but 3 was really the extent to make it read well. So T-Bear makes time travel relatively fun. Einstein, smarty pants scientist. The writing on this book is unsurpassed. I will write nevermore. Edgar Rice Burroughs. Edgar Allan Poe. writer of scary stories and bird lover. Tiber's artwork is single-handedly bringing on the new Renaissance. Michelangelo, thank you, Michael. That was very kind of you to say. A famous painter or Ninja Turtle, pick one. So yeah, this will be the back of the book. So this is the back cover. I got my little website info there. I got my studio publishing there. And so then this is the special thing. So this will be the back inside cover. So we have In Loving Memory of Miguel. You'll have to read the book to kind of know what that's all about. I've hinted about that in the past, but I'm not going to spoon feed it here. So then we have the thanks to all of you guys. Look at this. To all of you guys that have supported this campaign and just support me in general. So thank you guys so much. So I wanted to make sure that was big and took up the majority of the back inside cover. And then I give a little nod to everybody that has brought something to Chrono Mechanics. So Eric Benson and Rich Ferraro were there in the early days when I came up with the idea. Matthew J. Hillary, which if you back the book, you know that you got a PDF of the screenplay, the Chrono Mechanics screenplay, and I wrote that with Matthew Hillary, so he contributed quite a bit to the Chrono mythology. And Kim Vandervoort, which hopefully someday we get that novel out. So there's an actual novel that exists of Chrono Mechanics. It's an adaptation of a couple of the Chrono stories from the past. So it's a novel. And then Dan Morvik, who used to do a lot of my graphics work, and then I gave him a thumbnail of the Chrono Mechanics cover, so he's the one that did the graphics for that. And then Mike Smithson, who is a sculptor and a good friend of mine, and he helped me out when we were doing the animation stuff. So he did I showed it on a live stream before, the Doug and the Chrono Mechanic, what is it called? Oh my gosh, what are they called? Maquettes? Yeah, maquettes. So it's like a sculpture that the animators use. And also in the case of this one, it was for this, you could scan it and make a digital copy of it, a three-dimensional copy. And then, of course, Sean Ellery, who put the graphics to this page together and the other stuff that I'm going to be showing you. And he did the cover, the colors for the cover as well. He's really cool. I've known him for a long time. He's a pain in the ass to work with, but he does really, really good work. And I'm really happy with the way all this stuff came out. And so last but not least, whoa, no, that's not it. That's it. Last but not least, this is the credits page. So look at that. And so I'm going to use that retrofit that he came up with, that graphic, and I'm going to put it on the cover of the book as well. So he did a really killer job here. So Priya did a great job with the colors. So thank you. Jeff with the lettering, and Rich Birdsall for some of the additional writing, and definitely Render Contender. My gosh, Render Contender. I wish I could have just made this whole page a credit to you, because he really stepped up and he did some really cool stuff. I gave him some thumbnails on some of the pages, so he came in and did breakdowns for me so I could do finishes and then ink them up. So there's quite a bit of pages that he helped out with. So thank you so much, Render, if you're listening. I know he's a big fan of Comicsgate, and actually he's a part of Comicsgate. He worked with John Malin on some of the Graveyard Shift stuff. So he's a brilliant artist, and he's getting better every time he picks up the pencil. So thank you again, my friend. We've done a couple live streams together as well. So then this is the fun stuff, man. This is James Dean Anderson, and I showed these off yesterday, but these are the trading cards, you guys. So these trading cards go with the variant cover collection. So we have 4 variant covers for Chrono Mechanics, and they were drawn by A-list artists that have done comic books and animation. And so this one will go with the Zin comic. So if you buy the Zin comic, you'll get this free trading card along with it. So, man, look at that thing. It's so freaking awesome. Yeah, James did a great job here. And so then this is Caravaggio. He's a little prissy, but he's a master inventor and artist from the Renaissance. So he's got a little bit of a mad on. He's got a little bit of he's a little angry at Da Vinci. And when you read the comic, you'll know what that's all about. He's a little vain too. He's a little bit of a priss. So he thinks he's really attractive, but he's really kind of frumpy. He's a frumpy dude. And so then we have Doug, the rock star. Look at that. Look at that. He's a cross between Steven Tyler vocally and Ted Nugent on the guitar. So he's a ballistic kind of 70s. In this reality, he's an icon. He's like up there, man. He's a rock god in the 70s. So yeah, and you'll get to see how he fits into the Chrono Mechanics team, which you think this self-centered rock star, that's used to, a life of entitlement. How is this guy going to fit into, a team of working class heroes? So that's going to be the fun adventure. And then we have this, which is Oot. And so he'll come along with the Oot book. And what is this? I don't remember what this is, but I'm going to click on it anyway. Oh, and this is the stretch goal, you guys. So this is the patch design. So if we can get to 45K, we will make patches up. And those will be along with your order. So absolutely free, you guys. You'll get this patch. So everybody that's ordered will get the Chrono Mechanics Team 9.2 of Sector 7 embroidered patch. So that's very, very cool. And I think I'm going to go back to the wall. I like the patch. I remember it. Yeah, patches are cool, man. So you can put them on your bomber jackets. You can put them on your backpacks. It's all good. So I'm going to show the website or the Indiegogo site real quick. And so what I want to do is I want to show you the covers that those trading cards will come with. So here's the Chrono Mechanics retrofit. It's in demand right now. We're at 43,438. We got a bunch of backers over the weekend and even yesterday. It was very cool. I think we got one this morning too. So you guys are really coming in last minute here. We will be going to print. This book will be going out the end of the week. So we do have, is it Mixum? I always say the name wrong, but it's Mixum. And they're all ready for us to send this to them. And the good news is they're in the States here, and we should get the book back quicker than if we went with Asia, Korea, or with Print Ninja, because it can take 2 months. With black and white, with Global PSD, it took 3 months, and that was ridiculous. I will never forgive them for that. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm not real happy with it. It made you guys wait longer than you had to, and that's why I'm not happy with it. So yeah, so they do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. This is very, very cool, near and dear to my heart. We started as we started as a 48-page just a saddle stitch book, and so with your help, we managed to get it to a 60-page graphic novel format, which is now we have a square bound spine instead of staples, which is very, very cool, you guys. And that's because of your support, shouting out, supporting this, hanging out with me in the chat. It's all good, man. It's all good. It feeds on itself. So I want to kind of go over the trading card aspect of this. I don't talk about it too much, but like the featured item is the book plus the work in progress. And each one of these books comes with a trading card. So the book itself comes with a Chrono Mechanic card, and then the work in progress will come with Eugene the Elucidator card. So then we have the Mystery Sketch add-on. So there's no shipping added onto this. So we'll just, it's $20 straight, and we'll put that in with your order. So you have to have an order already to get this Mystery Sketch. And so the idea behind the Mystery Sketch is I have a bunch of developmental drawings for the comic book and for the animation series that I was doing a while back, just a bunch of stuff. So we're going to grab a bunch of those, put them in this envelope, and ship those off to you. So we had 28 claims. So you guys are really backing this. So thank you. And there's plenty more drawings that we have here. So very cool. If you guys haven't added that on, it's a very cool, like, I don't know. I like behind the scenes stuff, and it's not an expensive behind the scene thing, and it's original artwork. And it might even be artwork that's in the comic book. So some of them are like panels, like rough panel layouts. Some of them are actual panels, like drawings that I did before I lightboxed them onto the board. Some of them are even layouts, like alternate layouts for pages. So you'll see like some of the panels might be the same, but some of them are slightly different because the storytelling changed. So one of the things I did with Chrono is early on, I didn't write the story. I just laid it out. So I just did it as a stream of consciousness. And so I laid out the book visually. I didn't write the book out. So by doing it that way, even if you write it, there's a lot of trial and error. But when you draw it, there's even more time, consumption there. So it might be fun to see like alternate versions of some of these pages. So those are going to be in there as well. So some of them will be tighter than others. Some of them might even be inked. So there's all kinds of different stuff that's going to be in there. So this is the main tier. So like I said, the main book comes with a Chrono Mechanics card. So that's what that comes. The bring on the posters is they're the posters plus 4 mini prints, but this one does not come with a trading card. But you do get all with this tier. You do still get all the stretch goals. So there are trading cards that are involved with the stretch goals. So this is the one I really wanted to show you guys. This is the variant cover collection. So it's $95, and it comes with 4 collectible cards. So those cards that I showed you come with each one of these books. So you'll get 4 books plus 4 of the collector cards. And those cards came out really, really cool. And so I have some artwork that's better. It's a better way to show off the covers, and I'll get to that. But yeah, so that one comes with 4 different trading cards. And so then the twofers obviously come with 2 books of each. And then they also come with 2 of the trading cards. And I just realized something. I thought I offered the work in progress book on its own. I think somebody asked me that, and I do not. So maybe I should think about that as a possible add-on, maybe. But so then we have the ultimate tier. So the ultimate tier is very cool. It comes with, all of those cards that I just mentioned, but it has 4 additional. Six. It had 6 cards that I just went over, and then 4 additional cards that are what are they? They're what are the additions? It's the Foreman, Skippy, Chrono Incorporated, and Corky. So those are the additional cards that you'll get. So that brings it up to 10 cards that will all share that same layout that James Dean and I had been working on. So you're gonna get those as well with this, plus a mini print and just everything. You get the book itself. You get the sketchbook with signatures. You get the 4 variants, and then you get a mini print, and then you get the set of trading cards. So that is pretty cool. So come by, check out. You can spend some more time with the interior art, but I want to scroll down and show you these variant covers, because the trading cards will come with those variant covers. And so that's an idea of what the mystery sketch will look like, or one rough drawing that you could potentially get. So yeah, here's the variant cover collection. So by Superstar Talents. So this is Sean Cheeks Galloway. He did Oot. So obviously that will come with the Oot trading card. So we have Tom Bancroft, who did Doug. That one will come with that Killer Doug trading card. And then we have Zin, drawn by Aaron Lopresti, who's working on, I think, Justice League right now for DC Comics. So he did Zin, and that will come with the Zin trading card. And then last but not least, Caravaggio, who was done by Carlo Barberi and myself. I inked Carlo, so that was fun. That was a treat. And I want to thank everybody, each and every one, for donating this artwork to the campaign. You guys are so cool. There's not enough thank you. I don't have enough time to let you know exactly how much this meant to me. And so this was also colored by Perea here. So he did a stellar job on the colors. So yeah, so that's Caravaggio, and that will come with the Caravaggio trading card. And so, like I said, when we get to 45K, we will unlock the next stretch goal, which is the patch, the embroidered patch. So very, very cool. So thanks you guys for all the support. Thanks for all the help. And the book is going to go to the printers soon. So we're going to get some results, you guys. We're going to get a book soon, and then I'll be able to ship it out to you. So I cannot wait for that. So I should wrap this up. I'm going to go down and get myself something to eat, stretch my legs, check my social media and my emails, and then get back to work. So thanks you guys for hanging out with me. It was a blast. Time always passes so much better and faster and more enjoyable when you guys are hanging with me. So thanks again, you guys. Take care. Enjoy your day. Wait, I just saw this. Mayfield Juke says, I can only imagine what the Chrono executives get up to. Yeah. I can't wait to tell more of these stories because there's so many levels and so many characters that we just kind of, in this book, we just give you like a little introduction to the world, to these characters. But man, there's so much more to it. And I can't wait to revisit this in a future story. And with the support that you guys have given, and hopefully when you get the book and you realize that, you know, I am going to fulfill, I will keep my word and all that stuff, because I do know that this is based on trust. And the more I deliver and the more I prove to myself trustworthy, the more you guys will support. So I will do my damnedest to get this book done and get it into your hands. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it, because I would like to do some more of this. I would like to revisit Chrono Mechanics because it's just a fun concept and it's such a labor of love. So thanks again, guys. Take care. See you again soon.